Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is October 2nd. I didn't upload one yesterday, I didn't play it all yesterday, and was able to play a little today, so we'll go through what I got done. Kind of start from the back actually. The first thing last thing I should say that I ended up doing was just setting up this peat drone. This is going to be important because I need the mulch, and I will get to it later. I also realized I could use quad drawers instead of doing this setup since I'm pulling them right into the AE network anyways. And then after I set this up, I was kind of like standing here, I was like, wait a minute, why am I using the controller when I'm using this drawer that fits everything? I could just skip this piece, and these things will apparently lag out the game later, so I don't know why I didn't think of these before when I was setting this up. I don't know, but now this will work much better and also kind of lag-proof things in the future, but nothing too exciting with this. Just needed this set up so I can get the mulch for later. But the first thing I actually did today was beef up my uranium production. As you can see, I've got these two compressors going. One's compressing uranium, tiny piles of uranium 235 into the nugget form, and then the other's compressing uranium 238. These are then over here in the assembly machine, supposed to be combining over here into coolant, which fluid auto output. Okay, didn't realize it stopped working. Let's see what did I mess up? Because I changed out this mixer earlier, so clearly I'm messing something up. We got water, distilled water at 4. Distilled water. So there's something here. Distilled. Oh, you know what, I know exactly what it is. It's, I faced the machine in the wrong direction. I have the face of the machine here, so this guy can't push the distilled water in. And this guy is getting powered from this direction, so I actually need to face the machine here. And then make sure this is that way, and we should be rolling again. Okay, sweet deal. So that's fixed, but it's not too big of a deal, and the reason I actually didn't notice that failed is so, actually, a couple things. So I end up, for whatever reason, and I believe it's because I'm using the 8 different miners, I'm down to just 5 of them running at the moment, but I've been running out of C18 diesel, which has just caused havoc throughout this tower in particular, where the backbone of it is the C18. At some point I had planned on coming through here and replacing through wire, and you might be able to tell that is one of the upgrades I did, was I swapped all this to wire. And when I did this, just for simplicity's sake, for my ease, I did upgrade all these machines to EV, because some of them were still HV for me. So right now we've got thorium, uranium, and MOX rods being made. The MOX rods are going to be more important here pretty fast, because I do plan on setting up a MOX reactor shortly, especially now that I can make cables capable of holding ZPM current, which is for me it'll be the Naquata cables. I keep wanting to say Noctua for some reason, but it's Naquata. So in the future this will be more important, and I might have to parallelize this just depending on how fast those rods are gone through. So I did all this, though, because I was also constantly running out of uranium, and then I would have power outages, etc., etc. And I just kind of assumed it was because I was using more power and stuff. Turns out I just kind of goofed. And so, if you might remember, I have 4 or 5 uranium rod reactors set up throughout the world. This one is set up for my ore processing, and these ones get used the least, so I basically once in a while I'll poke my head in just to make sure nothing's melted down, but otherwise I don't really, as long as those machines are running up there, I don't really pay attention to these guys, because they just, not much is going on down here. Turns out that was a mistake, because so the way I input the rods into the system is specifically through this export bus, which has a redstone card, which is then triggered off this level emitter, and turns out I had this toggled in the wrong direction, so all my uranium rods were dumping into the system, and all the uranium problems I thought I was having, I actually have 12,000 rods ready to go. So even though that coolant just ran out, that's not a big deal. I've got more than enough of a backlog to last a while. I am actually kind of tempted to stop this production for a little bit to let this uranium-238 build up, but I am kind of trying to keep an eye on it to see if the bees are keeping up now. But I've got uranium rods to last me for a very, very long time. Because originally I was just keeping one stack per set of reactors in spare, but I don't think that's quite enough, so I kind of just bumped it up to the 4,000 a drawer could hold. So I spent a while, like I said, messing around and upgrading that over there when I really didn't need to. Not, like I said, not a big deal though, because I do plan on swapping to Mox rods, and when I do that, the next thing I started to do, and this is probably a good example of why you should kind of lay out what your plans are and what your goals are for the day or short-term goals to kind of keep yourself on track, is I laid out this area. So I've got these 4 reactors set up. These guys are going to be my first set of MOX reactors, and actually my first set. I think my first few videos are me trying to set up a MOX reactor till I realized they outputted power far more than I was capable of handling. And these guys are going to come out to this guy right here. And what this guy is going to be, this is going to be my central battery. It is fully complete. The glass is just up in the ceiling, but I wanted this guy hanging above the ground like this because these will all be different dynamo hatches, and this is going to be my central power hub for real that actually goes out, and I use my GTNH P2Ps to pull power to. So and I just got my P2P to set up the network in here. So I haven't finished setting this up because I was waiting on a bunch of stuff to craft. If I had been a little more thoughtful, I could have had all that stuff pre-crafted and ready to set up. But I do plan on setting up this tomorrow or or during the weekend. But either way, this is gonna be near future and needs to be, because looking ahead at the quest book, I'm going to need LUV power pretty fast. If I bring this out, it looks like I need the LUV assembler to get the energy hatch. And the only reason I'm extra worried about, kind of worried about doing all this, is specifically the terminal for making patterns for the processing pattern terminal for the assembly line. You need this item processor tier 4, which does need to be made in an LUV assembler. So with that, I did actually craft some LUV motors. Let me go into here. LUV motors. Oh, actually, no, I just have them in my inventory. You can see I crafted 26. That was just me messing around with how the assembly line worked. I tried to cheese a pattern in there, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So if we hop down here, I do have the LUV assembly line set up. I cannot remember if I showed this in the last video or not, but this guy has been set up, including all the the bottom side. I did a full size one, and I'll go into this more later once I have it actually functioning. But the way I was trying to cheese it was I put these two dual P2P or dual interfaces next to each other, and I put a pattern in here that only had the items needed for this, and then I've got the ultra low only one stack things with these storage buses and lower descending priority. So what I thought would happen is if I put the pattern here, requested it, it would push the items in, and then it would drop them into their respective buses without any issue, but did not seem to actually function. So what I've got going on instead is, since I just have the main network exporting these two fluids, the Indoloy 140 and the lubricant into here, and then I've just been coming in manually putting a bunch of these items in, because I need a bunch of the motors to craft the items, to craft the assembly machine to finally make the patterns to be able to automate it. So this is just a little bit of a manual, and I swapped this particular bus to an HV one so I could, because it takes 64 of the wire in 2 different slots, this one and this one, to craft one motor. So instead of standing there waiting for each craft, I just threw a bigger bus on. And then the last thing uh, is I was originally planning on throwing up a EBF with, and you can see I started even to do it, basically like an EBF specifically for Nequata, where I would just input the dust that I got from the miners, export into like a dedicated solidifier and extractor just to have ingots flowing. But then I was looking and I noticed, hey, wait a minute. This whole line right here is the Nequata line, and I can, as far as I can tell, I went through clicking on this and maybe there's something I'm missing. As far as I could tell, I can set up this whole thing now and get just right off the bat have better Nequata alloys going, which I'm going to need pretty fast anyways for this energy hatch, as well as progress, which I'm not too worried about this progress because I still haven't even made the tier 4. I just want to be able to automate making components so I can make better apiary and have better passive resources. So my next immediate goal, and I think I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth between setting up those reactors down there and setting this up, but this line actually looks really straightforward. Basically all of these are just LCR recipes with a couple EBF ones in there. Set this line up, get Nequata in a not terrible fashion, and then kind of brunt force my way to the LUV assembler with that reactor set up. That way, then make those 2 pattern terminals, and then get all the components for LUV set up, and then upgrade all my apiaries that I need for passive resources, and then kind of see where I'm at. And yeah, that's where I'm sitting. That's the plan. And I'm gonna go eat dinner and then kind of start making headway on this. I don't know which one I'm gonna work on first. I probably should do the reactors first, but I'm not really sure. We'll see how I feel after dinner. But I appreciate you for watching. Hope everybody has a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.